Book title: Self-Oppression. The author: Nazanin Amiri. The harm we consciously or unconsciously inflict upon ourselves. Introduction. Many of us, throughout our lives, engage in a form of self-oppression, sometimes knowingly and sometimes unknowingly. This oppression may manifest through poor decisions, unhealthy habits, toxic relationships, or even the thoughts that replay in our minds daily. We often believe that only others can harm us. But the truth is that the greatest harm often comes from ourselves. There is a beautiful English proverb that says, "A man's worst enemy is himself." I know accepting this truth can be painful. In this book, we will examine this phenomenon, identify the various ways we might be oppressing ourselves, and finally, explore ways to break free from this destructive cycle. Are you ready to be a little surprised? Chapter 1. Mental and Psychological Self-Oppression. 1. Negative self-talk. Many of us engage in self-talk, but unfortunately, it is often negative. In Persian, we have a saying, "Don't grind your brain." When we tell ourselves, "I'm not good enough," or "I'll never succeed," we are essentially imprisoning our minds in negativity. I used to blame myself multiple times a day for the most ridiculous reasons. I remember during my university years, I was unfairly given a lower grade by a professor because I refused to take his phone number. For years I blamed myself for this. But why was I oppressing myself when I was the one who had been wronged? Does this sound familiar to you? Have you ever done the same to yourself? Example from famous figures. Vincent van Gogh, the great Dutch painter, spent much of his life battling negative thoughts and severe depression. Despite his immense talent, he always considered himself worthless. Ultimately, these destructive thoughts led to his tragic demise. He deserved a peaceful life, if only he had truly realized his own worth. How to overcome this harm? 1. Recognize negative thoughts and replace them with positive affirmations. Instead of saying, "I'm clumsy because I burned the food," say, "It happens to everyone. Next time, I'll be more careful." Then smile and enjoy your meal or grab something else from the fridge. 2. Practice mindfulness techniques. Mindfulness is a broad field, but here's a simple tip. When negative thoughts arise, acknowledge them and remind yourself that they are just fleeting and invalid. Return to the present moment and consciously engage in whatever task you were doing. Meditation can also greatly help with mindfulness. If a thought keeps repeating in your mind, write it down and analyze it logically. If it's baseless, discredit it. If it has merit, develop a solution for it. There's another beautiful English proverb: "Be true to yourself." 2. Constantly comparing yourself to others. In today's world of social media, comparison has become one of the biggest destroyers of self-esteem. This comparison is often unfair because we only see the highlights of others' lives, not their struggles and hardships. To be honest, as you may know, I manage several large social media pages where I share my travel experiences. People assume I am always on the move and have a carefree life. But the reality is different. I work at least 8 hours a day, dedicate significant time to writing books and articles, and spend hours reading, attending training courses, and exercising. People comparing themselves to my perceived life is unfair to them. They judge themselves based on an illusion they have created about someone else's life, thereby oppressing themselves. Example from famous figures: Marilyn Monroe, one of Hollywood's biggest stars, constantly compared herself to other actresses. Despite her fame and beauty, she struggled with feelings of inadequacy and low self-worth, leading to severe depression and her early death. How to overcome this harm? 1. Focus on personal growth instead of competing with others. Remember that others' paths are not yours. You must find your own. 2. Limit social media consumption. For years, I have only followed a select few people online, those who add value to my life and knowledge. Appreciate your own achievements. We often undermine our accomplishments. We think success means breaking a giant's horn, but reading 1 page of a book, washing the dishes, or talking to a loved one are all achievements worth acknowledging. Chapter 2. Physical Self-Oppression. 1. Neglecting physical health. Eating unhealthy food, being inactive, not getting enough sleep, and consuming harmful substances are all ways we harm our bodies. Over time, these habits lead to chronic diseases and a diminished quality of life. When I am aware that sugar is harmful to my health, why should I oppress myself? Haven't we endured enough harm from ignorant parents and society in our childhood? Isn't that oppression enough? Elvis Presley, the rock and roll legend, suffered from an unhealthy lifestyle and poor physical habits, which led to severe obesity and heart problems, ultimately causing his untimely death. Our daily choices regarding food and exercise determine our future health. A famous English proverb says, "Take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live." How to prevent this harm? Maintain a balanced diet. Develop a regular exercise routine. Follow healthy sleep habits. As an old Persian saying goes, a healthy mind resides in a healthy body. Chapter 3. Self-Oppression in Relationships. 1. Staying in toxic relationships. Sometimes, out of fear of loneliness or emotional dependency, we remain in relationships that harm us. These could be romantic, familial, or even toxic friendships. This issue is serious. It slowly destroys your psyche. Some relationships should be eliminated completely, while others, if unavoidable, should be managed wisely to minimize harm. Example from famous figures: Amy Winehouse, the renowned British singer, was involved in a toxic romantic relationship that led to substance abuse and, ultimately, her tragic death. How to escape this harm? Recognizeth signs of an unhealthy relationship. Learn communication and emotional expression skills. Haveth courage to leave toxic relationships. Conclusion: how to stop oppressing ourselves. After exploring the various ways we harm ourselves, we realize that self-awareness is the key to change. The more we recognize our destructive thoughts, behaviors, and habits, the easier it becomes to correct them. Steps to break free from self-oppression. 1. Awareness, identifying harmful behaviors and their effects. 2. Acceptance, acknowledging that we are responsible for our change. 3. Action, implementing strategies and exercises to change destructive habits. Our lives are too valuable to waste on self-oppression. Let's start today by treating ourselves with kindness. The end.